Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is, as Shane said, this is Kevin O'Connor with DQ Technologies. I'm happy to be here today and give you a little bit of an overview of what DQ Tech does and how we work with Infor, SXE, and CSD and distributors like yourselves. So I'm going to start off with a brief PowerPoint and just kind of talk to you a little bit about what the solution entails and kind of how it can help you. We've been around since '92, and really what you see today is all that we do. We focus on routing, dispatch, order tracking, customer notifications, and proof of delivery. We've been partners with Infor for 20 plus years, and we started in the lumber and building materials industry and kind of moved into the general distribution or hard distribution market like HVAC, plumbing, electrical, the things you see on the screen here, when one of our early building material customers was an Infor SXE customer many, many years ago. So from a module standpoint and an offering, we have a solution that will help you really with just about any phase of the delivery process. And this is designed for a company that has their own trucks and does their own deliveries, whether they own the trucks or whether they lease the trucks. And we certainly have customers that have third-party carriers and that sort of thing. So the primary module that we'll look at today is called ODT, Order Delivery Tracking. We have a module called Advanced Routing, which may or may not be applicable depending on the kind of business, the type of routes you do, the products you deliver, and the trucks that you utilize. And so just kind of mention that off the top. We are a GPS company, so many or most of you out there probably have a GPS solution. So our solution in general does pretty much what every other GPS and ELD and camera type solution does. The big difference is that I'll show you is that it integrates in with the routing and the order tracking software, so you know where your drivers should be, not just where they are. So we have a fleet management and vehicle maintenance module as well, and then we have our driver app, which if you have drivers that are log required, it'll do ELD and pre and post trip daily inspections. But it also, the primary function for it would be proof of delivery, signature capture, picture capture, delivery notes, navigation integration, and I'm going to show you how all that works today. We also have a branded customer app that many of our customers use, and behind that is an API. If you're the type of company that wants to drive your customers to an e-commerce site versus using an app, the API can be used to deliver all that information to an e-commerce site, or you can actually develop your own app. Finally, the other kind of customer facing option that we have is called e-messaging, and I'm going to demo that kind of live to you today as well. Just think Amazon, and better than Amazon really in terms of real-time notifications with ETAs and all of those sort of things. So why does a company invest in, or why should you be interested in our solution? So for some companies, the routing tools are really the biggest deal, and there's a lot of different ways to route based on kind of how you do things, and we'll kind of touch on those today. Another thing would be just visibility of the order status and where the trucks are, and helping with your customer service. The GPS integration, which I'm going to show you as well. And then proof of delivery can do a lot of things for you. So electronic proof of delivery, eliminating paperwork, eliminating scanning and filing, all of those kind of things can really help the business. And then in this day and age, I mean, it's not a luxury. I mean, everybody is expecting for you to either have an app or to have some way to communicate directly with them, letting them know the status of their order, right? So those are all huge deals. And I mean, where does it all start? It really starts with timely integration. So I just want to kind of point this out first of all, and then we'll hop into the demo. So there's no any kind of like batch exports or double entry or anything manually that you have to do. Essentially, once the integration is set up with ION APIs and the filters and things are set properly, a sales order, an RMA or customer pickup, transfers between locations, vendor pickups and vendor returns would all flow into ODT for routing and scheduling on a real-time basis. Okay, so that's all going to just happen real time. And in order to not interrupt the demo, I'm going to mention a few things right here. So the other thing that's really cool is that we do have real-time integration to write back to SXE or Cloud Suite Distribution and TWL or even Infor-WMS. So we write back things like order status, information, truck, route, stop, ETA, all of that stuff is written real time back. We're also going to calculate a delivery cost for every order that you deliver, and that's a huge deal. That cost can be written back also into CSD, or you can just utilize our reporting and dashboard solution to, kind of give you some really nice cost to serve information for your customers. I do want to kind of click one little button here and show you if you're using CSD today, this screen might be familiar. So if you're using our proof of delivery, the signature, the typed in name, the date and time, the order, all of that can flow into Infor document management basically automatically just as a result of doing those with our proof of delivery. Lastly, another kind of thing that really happens if you are invoicing in batch after making your deliveries, a delivery complete status with our proof of delivery can actually trigger a ship stage update, so just makes things quicker. We can do that if you're not using TWL. We have the same thing with TWL as well. So what that really means is that after you've made a delivery with ODT and you have all the orders that are delivered complete, there's really nothing more to do than run a batch program and do your invoicing, because we're going to update the ship stage for you automatically. All right. So that's about it for the PowerPoint. I'm going to stop right here just for a moment. I may come back to this in a little bit, but we'll hop over to the live software. So this is the new browser version of ODT. We're calling it 2.0. So it's fairly new. We just released it this year, but we have a nice group of customers that are already on it. In order to kind of stay during the demo with kind of just the transactions that I kind of want to mess with and don't want to mess with other salespeople's things, I'm going to just turn this little filter on right here. Okay, so we'll only see customers that that belong to me, and I'm going to also turn on a little grouping functionality, which in real life customers use this to sort of focus on different things that they're doing during the day. I'm going to use it just to make things easier for me to sort of show you what's going on and what's happening in the demo. All right. So as I mentioned before, from a real-time standpoint, and I'm going to start off here with the basic scheduling and order tracking, and then I'll kind of touch on some of the other things that we do. So what we're looking at right here, right now, is what we call our orders grid. Okay. And this is basically all of the orders that are in the system for today's date that we need to schedule and do something with. And of course, for some of you, that would all be done the day before, right? So this is more kind of how you do things in a real-time atmosphere, but most people, or a lot of people, are doing the routing for all their vehicles the day before, right? So from a real life standpoint, this is a little bit different. So what I want to kind of point out to you right here is just that these orders come in directly from CSD. They'll end up here. They'll end up on whatever the correct requested delivery date or promise date is that you have set up in the CSD system. So if I were to go look at tomorrow, I've got a few orders that are already in here. And notice one thing that you see, how they show combined. So what that means is that based on an order date or requested delivery date and a cutoff date, that these orders have already flowed in and they're set to be delivered on Friday. And so one of the automated ways of doing things is what we just call basic routing. So all of these orders, you can see they're all in map zone 2, and these are all set for a daily delivery. And so behind the scenes in ODT, the setup is such that if I go in here and look at it, this particular route, which I just call it my daily map zone 2 route, it's already being built. Okay, so all of these orders for tomorrow are already in the system, and they're just automatically grouped together. And in my demo company, Linda's the driver, and this is the default equipment. So that just happens automatically. And then if I wanted to, just from a, like taking a look at what that looks like maybe on a map, I can come into the system And I can look at it here, and actually, I wanted to go to a different screen, pardon me. I wanted to come in here to my, whoops, I'm actually doing, hitting the wrong thing here a couple times. Okay, so what I really wanted to do was just kind of come in here and look at this route so far as things are happening with it tomorrow. And it's got a bunch of orders, as you can see on here. It looks like this particular route has 6 different customers on it. So this is what we call basic or just auto routing. And as the orders flow in based on, as I mentioned before, a cutoff date and requested delivery date, they'll be dropped on the correct day, and they'll be dropped into the route if you have a predetermined route for that, selection of customers. One of the things that you can do here is you can do something like this. You can just hit the optimize button and then just have the software optimize it for you. If everything looks good at that point, you can just hit save and close. But in the meantime, there could be some other orders coming in for that particular route later today. So we may take another look at that, before we start picking or pulling the orders or something along those lines, right? So that's kind of one of the automated ways that we do things. What I'm going to do here is kind of show you one of the sort of manual ways, just to kind of give you an idea kind of how the system works. So let's just say, for example, that I wanted to take, let's take these 4 orders right here. And this is kind of the most manual way that you would do things, right? So if you have a dispatcher, and again, if you don't have predetermined routes and you may not want to use our advanced routing, this is just kind of a basic way to do things. I can look at my orders. I can see what map zone they're in. I can see the dollars on them, the weight. I can also see the volume. I can see the load type, the stop time for each of those. And basically, I can just grab those orders and hit the button and say create delivery. And again, this is just kind of what we would call a point and click way to create a trip. So I can do that, and I can come in here and say, I'm just going to put this in the next truck that's going to go out this afternoon. I'm going to be the driver. If that driver has a default vehicle, the software will pick that for them automatically. If not, you can choose a vehicle, or you can choose a vehicle, and if there's a default driver, it'll select that automatically. If I wanted to send this out a little later today, I could pop this button and select a time, right? Or if I was scheduling this for tomorrow, I could set it out at 7 o'clock or whatever it might be. So over here on the right, I can see what that route looks like, okay? Now, there's some things in the software that can do this automatically, but sometimes we need a little human intervention. Let's just say, for example, that we promised Costco we were going to make them the first delivery this afternoon. So I could drag them up here and just say, we're going to make you first. I'm going to hit the lock button here, and then I'm going to just hit the optimize button. And so then what it does is it leaves Costco alone, and then it optimizes the rest of those orders that I have here that are ready. And then if I like the way that looks and everything is good, I hit just active delivery. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to just point out for a moment just that the software is calculating for us the total distance that trip's going to take, the total time it's going to take. So, we know what the delivery effort's going to be before anybody ever even, gets in the vehicle. So at this point, I'm going to hit active delivery, and that's going to basically make that into an active delivery. It's going to combine all of those orders, so they're going to change color. If I go to the deliveries grid now, that particular trip is going to show up here, and see how it says ready to depart, okay? The other thing I'm going to do while we're here, before I show you the proof of delivery, is I'm going to hop over to the scheduler. So building material companies, construction materials, a lot of those kind of people that are kind of going out and back multiple times a day, this is kind of the screen, either what I showed you initially or this particular screen, which shows us our trucks that we have for delivery and the times of the day across the top. Up here will show up, and these are the trips that we have that are already scheduled, right? So if I wanted to like just create another trip, I could actually, you know, pick some orders from down here on the bottom, and let's say I wanted to take this order and drag it up here and just put it out for this afternoon for this particular vehicle. I could just, again, do what we call drag and drop. And again, that's how a lot of again, people that do multiple trips per day per truck and don't have predetermined routes, they're generally looking at unscheduled orders. They're sorting, sequencing, filtering them by map zone, by address, any different ways they do it. And they're just grabbing these orders and, whoops, I don't want to do that one. That one's already actually combined. What I should do is filter this order so we can just look at unscheduled orders. Pop this up here and grab another one of these. So just, you know, drag it up here. And so the tool kind of allows you to just drag that order up there. And what it is showing us is basically how long is it going to take to complete that particular order, the drive time, and then underneath here behind the scenes, we have an unload time for each customer, the drive time to get to the next customer, and then some more unload time, and then the return time. So makes it really easy for the dispatcher to be able to see as they're putting trips together. I mean, how long is it going to take to get this done? And, you know, what else can I schedule behind that on the other end, right? This particular one right here, that's the one that I showed you that was done based on the auto routing that just happened automatically, all right? So couple different ways of scheduling things. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, and that's the other one that I did the drag and drop. It's set up here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to display my mobile device for you. And you see as it shows here, so this is what we call ODT mobile. It's an Android or iOS device. And as I mentioned, you can do your daily vehicle inspection. It has the hours of service. If I hit up here on the little dashboard, you can see it also has a fuel log app. So if the driver is fueling their own vehicle, they can do that. If they're in an accident, they can hit this and create an incident report. So, you know, in addition just to the proof of delivery, it does a lot of other things. And it's telling the driver didn't really do anything other than basically log in and tell it what vehicle he's driving. And then it's saying, hey, Mr. Driver, you've got an active trip here. Now, in real life, what happens is when the driver drives away, as long as there's GPS in the vehicle, then the trip will start automatically. Obviously, I'm sitting here, so that's not going to happen. So I'm going to start the trip manually myself. And so kind of to mimic that behind the scenes, you see here where it says Kevin and Toyota Sequoia, what it did was it took that trip and it made the trip go in route and then all of the orders go in route, and it calculated a real-time ETA for every one of those stops. So it uses the drive time, the unload or the stop time, and then it uses real life traffic, and it just starts creating those ETAs and updating those simultaneously as we're doing things. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now, I'm gonna pop over real quick to my other mobile device and pull my phone up. So let's say that I am a customer, and if I can get my mouse to work right here. Let's say that I'm a customer and I'm set up to get either text messages or email messages. I work for Costco, and you know, when we're going to make a delivery to Costco, we send them a message. So if I touch right here, you can see it says, hey, your order number 530. The PO number is blank, so there's nothing there. And it's the Costco location on 1201-1604. Okay, it's gone en route and it has an ETA of 140. So any customer that has a contact with a phone number attached will get a text like that. If they're set up to get email messages, then you can send them a nice email. Typically it would have your logo. We didn't do that for the demo, but it would have your logo and all the customer information. And then it would have line items, your items, quantities, descriptions, units of measure would all show up here. So if the customer wants an email, a voice, they can get an email, they can get a text message, whatever it is that they would, prefer to get, okay? And that would happen as you saw it in real time, just because that trip went en route, okay? So then for the driver, today, your typical driver is, if you're not doing proof of delivery with some type of mobile device, then, all right, here we go. Then the driver is going to have 2 copies of your paperwork. If they don't know how to get to a customer, they're going to have to, key in addresses into their phone or their tablet. So what this does, this gives the customer, this gives your driver an electronic manifest, right? Telling him you need to go to Costco first, Blanco Barbecue, the JCC, and Julian's Pizza, okay? So let's say in the first place, your guy knows how to get to Costco. Everybody knows how to get to Costco. So he basically just drives to Costco. And when he gets to Costco, he's got his paperwork, right? And so, he pulls his paperwork out. And normally what would happen when you touch this is your line items would show up here. My demo doesn't have line items, and I've been chewing on Charlie to get them in, but he doesn't have them yet. So essentially, I'm going to kind of mimic real life. When the driver arrives at Costco, then the geofence is going to just automatically update the order to arrive. The driver wouldn't have to do what I'm doing, okay? I'm doing it manually just to show you what happens in real life. So when the driver pulls into the Costco parking lot, you see how this says arrived, and it grabs the arrival time. And then the other thing is the customer would then get, if you set them up, or an arrival notification as well. You don't have to do, but there's an en route arrival, a delivered notification, so you can do any or all of those things, right? So then basically your driver is actually unloading the vehicle, and when they get finished unloading the vehicle, this is when they're going to pull the tablet up, and they're going to just pull the order back up and say, okay, Mr. Customer, we need your John Henry, right? So you could, the driver might type the name of the customer in, or have the customer do it either way. And then, they're going to ask the customer to sign, so you can get a nice signature here. Hand the tablet back to the driver. If you need to take a picture, you could go ahead and take a picture here. So I'm going to hit take picture, and then just hop over here, and the driver can take as many pictures as they need to. We have some customers that I've seen them take 15, 20, 30 pictures. You can see, here's where I'm doing the demo from, my office with my monitors. When they're done taking pictures, on Android, they would hit the back button, and then all they have to do, if they looked at that and said, man, that's not a very good quality, they could hit that, and then we could delete it, and then they could go back and take another picture. I'm not going to bother to do that. I'm not very good at taking pictures with my Android. I'm going to just hit submit. So notice, right, what's going to happen immediately, it's going to update that to delivered. So that information would be updated. As long as your driver is in a cell coverage area, it's going to update that automatically. You can see here, if they're not in the cell coverage area, it'll just store that information, then it'll update things as soon as they're back in the cell coverage area. So immediately you'd be able to look in ODT, you'd see the signature, the typed in name, the date and time. This image right here would then be pushed over to the Infor Document Management API, and within seconds or 40, whatever, a minute or so, that would actually hit the database. In here, you'd see the items and quantities and everything that were delivered. And then if there were pictures taken, you could just click pictures, and you'd see the pictures here that that go along with that particular order. All right. So in order to try to keep this, I guess, within a reasonable amount of time, I'm going to do a couple things right now. So we're gathering a lot of information here in terms of everything that we're looking at. So I want to just kind of point out to you from those of you that have GPS, this is kind of our live tracking screen. So what this really does is just show you all the vehicles that this particular location or the company. So you can have, you can set this up with locations and location groups, and then different locations. And then of course you would just see all the vehicles for your location. If there's multiple vehicles, in a single or close by. You can zoom into those vehicles. You can zoom in, zoom out. If I wanted to look, looks like my wife took off. She's driving right now. So this is just kind of real time sort of stuff. I can look here and see she's going 45. I'm sorry, she's going 18 in a 45. So good for her. She's not speeding. She's only driven a mile, so she just took off. You can see the history. If we wanted to see the plot history of what she had done, I could click that, and it's since she's only gone a mile, it's only going to have a couple of plot points, right? That you can see she pulled out of the neighborhood. She's here on Blanco Road. If you wanted to replay that, you could hit the play button, and it would basically replay that and just show you what she had done. So that's just kind of cool sort of stuff that you can do. If she had a camera, if we had a camera in the vehicle, there'd be a little symbol here, and you could click it and you could just see live into what that particular vehicle was doing at that moment. I'll just kind of show you here. You can also look at, if you're interested in dash cameras, you could look at, I'm sorry, not requested. I want to go into recorded events just to kind of show you what this does here. So what this basically does is allow you to go in and for any particular date and kind of time range, you can choose like one some or all vehicles, one some or all drivers. You can pick, let's say that we just want to go in and say, hey, which of our drivers has been like talking on the phone when they're driving, and let's take a look at that. So I could hop in here, and these are the type of events that the software can capture automatically just doing AI. So I can click on this and we can see, ooh, this is Charlie's son. Looks like he's texting while he's driving. He's going 39 miles an hour and he's texting. So the camera solution is really cool. It's a big deal these days. It's like almost every new customer is looking at cameras because of what it can do for them. So the nice part is that we're doing all these kind of things as well as capturing a lot of delivery information and vehicle and driver information. So we have a nice set of dashboards that, just from a driver standpoint, we're kind of combining the GPS data along with the ODT data. So you can see things like who are your worst drivers and who's out there idling a lot, and people that are hard braking and hard turning and harsh acceleration and doing all those types of things. As well as we're capturing for every order and every trip, who the driver is, what vehicle it is, and we're calculating a cost of delivery. So my data here isn't good, but I'm just gonna, I hate to show real life customer data, but I'll just kind of show you what the software does, and you can pick multiple years, multiple months, different locations, one location, compare locations. And then we'll do things like, for whatever time period you're looking at, show you how many trips you're doing, how many orders, what your average trip time is, average distance. And then down here, looking at, the total revenue delivered, cost of goods, gross margin, the calculated delivery cost, the net margin, right? Gross margin before the delivery cost, net margin after delivery cost, and then just kind of all these other totals. So we have a wealth of information that we're capturing behind the scenes. And one other really quick thing I wanted to do, I just want to go over here. This is a live customer right now. Let me find one that maybe has a, let's see if I can find one that has a few stops in it, and then we'll kind of end. And yeah, here's a nice one right here, where you can see this is a trip that has 1, 2, 3, 3 stops on it. One of the other things that I can't show you, well, I mean, it just wouldn't show you any plot points, is that for any one of these trips at any point, you can just right click and say you want to show the delivery on the map. And then what it'll do is it'll show you what the trip looks like, right? And from start to finish, and it'll show you the plot points and what the driver actually did. So what I can see right here, which is kind of a good example of why you want something that's not just standard GPS, and that is that the driver, you can see this second stop here. Well, what was this driver doing driving around up here? First of all, the blue lines here are where the driver should have gone, okay? And the arrows are what the driver actually did. So this is kind of it's a very big deal in that we know when the drivers are doing things that they shouldn't be. We report on that, and there's a tremendous amount of information that can help you out when you're looking at that sort of scenario. So just kind of wanted to show you that one little thing, and then I guess we're kind of out of time. We wanted to try to keep it at about 30 minutes or so. One other little quickie thing that I'm going to do right here is I'll just click on reporting and just show you we kind of have a real nice wealth of reports in terms of customer reporting, driver reporting, and vehicle reporting. So I'm gonna, I guess, call it there and go back to Shane and see if we have any questions.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Kevin. Really like the new features and functionality that you guys are rolling out in 2.0. Don't see any questions. Again, if you have a question, drop it in the questions box there and we'll get it answered.
Yeah, I guess
Kevin, from a next step standpoint, what does that look like? Is it a deeper dive? Is there a requirements gathering, a questionnaire that you have? Talk us through what that would look like if someone wants to dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so if somebody is interested, and let me just say this, I mean, 30, 45, our typical demo would be about an hour and a half. And before we do a demo, so a next step would be a deeper dive demo. And what we always do before that is we do a discovery so we can understand, how you do your deliveries, how you're picking, how you're loading, all the different types of things around the whole process, really from routing and dispatch and scheduling and picking and basically everything that you're doing. I do have a nice discovery document that we use very often. If somebody's willing to fill it out, I can send that out in advance, and they can sit down and with a person or two and fill it out. Otherwise, what we do is just set up a discovery call and spend 30 or 45 minutes kind of talking through how they do things, and it does help to do that sometimes rather than just fill it out. But we would typically do a discovery call or the discovery document or kind of combination, and then set up a detailed demo, typically hour to an hour and a half, where we would focus on kind of solving how the ODT solution would fit any particular customer the best, and show the actual routing solution that fits them, whether it's drag and drop, whether it's point and click, whether it's what we call basic routing, or whether it would be a need for the advanced routing module, which I didn't pop in and show. I guess I did have a sample back here, but what advanced routing does is basically look through all of your orders for all of your vehicles, and you click through a wizard, and then it brings you back to a screen that looks like this, that has all of the routes on it, and then you can look at those routes, kind of scroll into them, and then drag and drop to move things around to kind of customize or build the routes a little differently if you need to make changes. So that's typically what we do as far as the next step. And after that, then we talk about pricing and implementation and those sort of things.
Great. Kevin, we do have a question from Michael. He asked, can you do DOT reporting e-logs through the solution?
Yes, definitely, for sure. We do. We definitely have e-logs. I'd say probably at least 50 to 70% of our customers are doing ELD. So yeah, we definitely do that. As far as electronic logging, we also have state mileage IFTA reporting. And in addition to that, for some companies in certain areas of the country and/or customers that are using Ryder or Penske, or they just don't want to do the automated fuel tax reporting, we partnered with a company called ProMiles, and so we have an integration with a company called ProMiles that will actually essentially create the forms, and as long as you're in a state that you can submit them automatically, the ProMiles will do that. And like I said, if you're using Ryder or Penske, then the ProMiles actually integrates with them, and most of the Ryder and Penske customers have them file their stuff for them. So those are the things that we do in terms of either DOT from an ELD standpoint or from a fuel tax reporting standpoint.
Great. Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
That looks to be about it on the questions. I'll give it another couple seconds here, and if not, I think we're going to wrap. For anyone that was not able to attend on your team, this will be posted out to Central Data TV, out on our YouTube channel. And then again, next week's invites for the purchasing webinar with Julie will be going out shortly as well. So thank you again, Kevin. Really good stuff there. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Shane. Thanks, everybody.